Hello from Gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and you're very welcome to my greenhouse and to this video all about propagating epiphyllums. So today I'm going to propagate some epiphyllums that I have here, and I'm going to show you how it's done. So let's get on with the video. So here we are in the greenhouse, and I came out just to tend to my epiphyllums, and I have some real big brutes here. But one thing I did notice, which I'll show you by swapping these around, is that my Douentza, which is this other one here, is not doing so well at all. Let's have a look at what's going on. So this here is the Douentza, which has beautiful pink flowers, maybe not as enormous as other epiphyllums, but a load of them. So it's really, really worth growing. And if we look in here, I don't know if you can see what's been going on. Now in here, we have where the plant has been rotting. And what I found was that I had other plants above this plant, which was to be kept bone dry through the winter, and they dripped down and it went into the center here and it started to rot. And I've applied some cinnamon, and I do hope that the plant will manage to survive. But in case it doesn't, what I want to do today is to propagate it just as a backup plan. And I will do that by selecting the healthiest looking leaves and take them away for propagation material. So with a clean, sterilized secateurs, just snip off here at the base. And of course, if you're pruning your plants, then this is an ideal opportunity to get cutting material. But we have a different situation going on here. And we have this long strand here, which I'm now going to cut into sections. So this is my cutting material, and what I will do is I'll actually cut it in half because we want lengths that are about 6 inches in length. And now I will bring these into a warm environment and just leave them for a couple of days to callus over. So as with all cacti, what we're doing is we're allowing the plant to heal a bit and to dry up a bit before we propagate, because we don't want it to rot. Okay, so now in I am with the cuttings we just took in the greenhouse. But as I mentioned, these need to callus over for a couple of days, so I'm not going to use these. Instead, what I'm going to use is a little something I prepared earlier. So these are some cuttings I took 3 days ago, and they're nicely calloused over now, so we're going to propagate with these. And as you can see, I've got 4 nice pieces, and these are slightly over 6 inches. So 6 to 8 inches they say, but actually, do you know what? You can make them shorter. You can use shorter material if that's the way, if that's what you have basically. Okay, so we have a nice little bit of a callus going on here now. I don't know if you can see that. And we are going to make up a mix. And for potting, what I'm going to do is use 50% organic material and 50% inorganic material. That's the mix I use generally for epiphyllums, but you can use cactus mix if you like. And generally speaking, the warmer your climate is, the more organic mix you can get away with using. But I live in windy and cold and rainy Ireland, so we're going to use a lot of inorganic. So let's just move these to the side now and bring in our bowl. So I'm going to start off by adding in my horticultural sand. Now you can use perlite or you can use vermiculite, whatever you like, just so long as it's inorganic. And I like to use horticultural sand because epiphyllums tend to be very top heavy plants and they tend to fall over, and this sand is heavy and it kind of weighs them down, so that's great. And then just some potting mix, and then just mix it around very well. At the base of the bowl I just had a little bit of mix from earlier, which I will use here on my epis. Okay, so after a good mix, what I'm now going to do is to fill up my pots. And I'm using these 2 pots here, and what I'm going to do is just put 2 cuttings in each pot. And then give it a bit of an old bash like that, just to make sure the mix settles well. So now with my prepared pots, the next step is to insert my epiphyllum cuttings, and we are going to insert them so that they're an inch below the compost. But before we do that, I forgot to mention something really important. Now, these leaves, actually not leaves, epiphyllums, like all cacti, don't have any leaves. They just flower directly from the stem or from the trunk, so they're not leaves. Anyway, these cuttings, they have an orientation, and it was this way up, and we can tell that by the fact that this is the calloused end, and by the fact that I remember which way way they were to start with. And when I plant, I really must plant with the bottom in the mix. If you get confused and plant them upside down, then they just won't root, so that's a no-no. Okay, so I'm taking my first cutting, and I'm going to just insert it in here. I'll just make a little hole. That's a bit of something we don't want, and just put it in here about an inch deep. You need to put them in so that they're deep enough that they won't fall over, and then just ever so lightly, well, not lightly really, ever so well, just firm the mix around. And now, turning this around, we will take my second piece of cutting, and I am going to put that here and just put it down. Whoops, I wasn't sure there for a moment which way was up, but actually, as you can see from this leaf, this top bit has also been cut because it was part of a longer stem which I cut in half. Not leaf, stem. And that is my first pot of cuttings ready for watering. So we'll take the next one and the same procedure. This is the top part of the stem, and you can see that it hasn't been cut at all there. So that's good, and we'll just put that in here and firm the mix around, and then turning around we have the more complicated piece, which is a cut on either end, but this here is the lower end and this is the top, and we are going to put this in the mix about an inch down. And the next step, of course, is to water these in. And these plants need to be kept moist, just moist. You need to keep these cuttings in a warm place at about 21 to 24 degrees centigrade until they strike, which will take about 6 weeks. And then just grow them on, and if you're really lucky you should get flowers the following year. Can't say I've ever had flowers the following year, but yeah, easy enough to strike. And just a fun fact for you, epiphyllums are not true epiphyllums at all. Oh no, these are man-made hybrids from the group Hylocereae, and they are mostly hybridized from 3 genera: Pseudorhipsalis, Selenarius and Disocactus. And surprisingly and really confusingly, there is a separate genus called Epiphyllum, and that doesn't usually go into the production of these epiphyllum hybrids at all. So that's one of the weird and strange things about them. But they are such beautiful plants that we all want to have lots and lots in our collection. And I hope these will go on and do really well for me. Okay, that brings me to the end of this video, I guess, about epiphyllum propagation, which I hope you enjoyed. You can, of course, propagate epiphyllums from seed if you're lucky enough to get the fruits. And I hope that you'll check back to see lots more propagation and plant videos. Thank you as always for watching, and bye!